a train come. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board.
You are now listening to Larry Nichols Live on Leading Edge Radio Network. Today, I'm going to be the host of the show. Larry asked me to take over and continue on for the day without him. Hopefully, if he's able to, tomorrow he will be back with us. Tomorrow's show is going to be very important. It's going to be so important that we're actually going to stream it live on YouTube. And Larry's going to share with us his opinions, thoughts, and just words of what he thinks this whole email gate scandal is about. And the fact that they aren't indicting Hillary, what does that mean? Well, hear what he has to say tomorrow. It's going to be a big broadcast, so please get the word out. And like I said, please go to our YouTube channel tomorrow because we're going to stream this live. For today's show, if you want to call in to listen, the number is 401-283-6754. The call-in live number is 501-499-6022. I'll let you know when we start taking calls, but don't call until then. I have a special program put together for you guys. But to start today's program off, Larry needs $800 for today's treatment. If you can help, please help. The three ways that you can donate are through PayPal, sending it as family or friend, not purchase, to Nichols Live at AOL.com. The second way is if you look up Larry Nichols Conway, Arkansas on Facebook, there will be a yellow donate button. That yellow donate button will take you to a PayPal page where you can donate with a credit card or bank account. And then the final method is to send him either a money order, a check, or even just a few bucks in the mail. And his address is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. Again, it is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. To start today's program, I'm going to start off with one of my favorite programs that we've done. It was the Memorial Day program on May 30th, and Larry talked about his first time he was ever in combat. That just really amazed me. He put it in such clear words that I was able to imagine it in my head, and it blew me away. So I'm going to leave you with this. I hope you all enjoy it.
You start hearing the screams, and the fear has got you. And you know you got to do something, but you don't know what you got to do because you're relying on your training, but training never laid somebody next to you. Now the blood's getting on you. Now you're starting to get this warm, and you didn't realize blood was so slippery. I got this from a listener. I appreciate this tribute today. You should receive dollars in the mail tomorrow. Mail Friday. Thank you. Thank you. We're 230 away from what we've got to have today. If that 100 came through, I don't see it yet, but maybe it did. To the person that sent the 100, did you send it PayPal, I think, or you did, or you didn't, maybe? I don't know. Sometimes on the phone thing, it don't show exactly when PayPal stuff comes in. Let me know if you sent it PayPal, please. And then somewhere, although you have not been over religious your life, most of it, you pray. Okay, it was sent with PayPal. Maybe it will be on the other thing, just not on my phone thingy. You start praying. You pray for God, please. God, help me. God, help me. And then you hear someone say, hold the line, hold the line. And then this person that's voice you know, okay, boys, let them have it. And you've got to raise your weapon. You've got to raise that thing up. You've got to look up over whatever it is you're behind. And somebody's got a bullet with your name all on it. But you hear the other weapons going off. And you realize, thank God, some of the people with me, they're still around. And then you realize, well, if they can do it, I've got to do it. And that's where this band of brothers concept comes from. I assure you, in combat, folks, you may have gotten in for all the right reasons, God, country, but your first combat. And every day of combat from then on, it's about you staying alive. And then something happens. It's hard to explain. Now, guys, I can't explain it. Nobody's ever been able to really explain it to me. But something happens. And a feeling of more than self comes over you. And you can't let the other guys with you down. Because if you let them down, if you don't do your job, somebody else falls, it's because of you. And that shame is just something you can't even begin to fathom you could bear. You can't bear it. So, you raise your weapon. Most of the time, I've seen it, done it. Most of the time, you pop a few rounds off with your weapon just above you, thinking somehow, miraculously, that if the enemy has come on you and is right on you, fixing to shoot you at point blank range, that somehow if you just stick your weapon up above that thing you're behind and pop off a few rounds, if they're that close, you'll surely hit them. And then it's time. Then it is time. You have to look with your eyes and you have to fight. So you stick your head up. You stick your head up. And when that head goes up, it's incredible. You don't see anything. Wait a minute. You're getting shot at. The guy next to you is dead or seriously wounded. You can't get to him. You've hollered medic, but no medic could come. Fire is too intense, but you look up, but you see nothing. Where are they? Where are they? Got a message here. White House placed on lockdown today. Might have found a suspicious package. Today, they're worried about the White House when we've got soldiers that are in the field. Every second of their life, they are under fire or about to be. And our mighty, precious president that keeps them in the field, they're worried because there might be a package that might blow up, that might damage some part of the fence. Or worse still, some brave soul may die or get seriously wounded trying to protect that precious president. So forgive me, y'all, for not getting too brokenhearted that the White House is locked down. White House should stay locked down with the mad Muslim black president we've got today. I think we are safer when the White House is locked down to where he can't do the damage to this nation that's being done. I got a yay out of that. Thank you. Back to where I was. You raise your head and there's nothing to see. Except periodically you see this little speck coming, just whizzing. And you know instantly what it is. It's a tracer round. It's around. And you see it coming. And in the split second that you see it, it passes and you hear this sound. But you don't know where it came from. You can't see the enemy. And someone to the left says, it's over there. He's over there. Wherever over there is, it can be behind a tree, it can be behind a building in Afghanistan, Iraq, it can be wherever that over there is. And you realize for the first time, you take your weapon, you scan that area, and there he is. There, for just a split second, is this thing. It's the enemy. Now, in that moment, I'm just going to tell you, in that moment, that thing you see doesn't give you the image that it's a man or a woman. It doesn't give you that image. It's just a thing you see. And then you see the smoke come out of his weapon. And you hear, a split second later, the crack. And then it's as though there's nothing else in the world, ladies and gentlemen. It's like there is nothing else going on in the world. It's you. Looking down the sight of your weapon. That thing is backed out of the picture. It's not there. But you know it's coming back. And you take aim, close aim. Now, let's say that thing is behind the corner of a building, as our forces are seeing today in Iraq and Afghanistan. You take your weapon and you sight it right on the edge of that building, right there at the edge, and then you pull just about a half an inch away from the edge of that building, knowing that when that thing comes out, you're going to fire your round. And that should put you hitting that target. Well, just as sure as life in this crazy world happened, yes, I just lit a cigarette. This makes me nervous because I've been there, I've seen it. Just as sure as the light from the sun comes out, that thing pops out from behind that thing. And without thinking, when that thing pops, you shoot. And there goes your round. And unfortunately, because you were scared, but unfortunately, because of all the things happening to you that you have never experienced before, your round hits. Instead of hitting that thing about a half inch beyond the corner of that building, when you fire, you notice your round hits the building about a foot to the other side and about a foot high. You pulled your shot because you were scared, you were nervous. This time, that thing sees you and knows you're shooting at it. Everything in that split second, folks, changes. It all does. It's you and that thing. Now, whether that thing actually sees you, I don't know. I never have known. But you sure feel like it did. This time, when it pulls out around the corner, You lay your round, and this time you see that thing fall back. And although you don't know if you killed him, you damn sure know you hit him. And now that thing is laying on the ground. What do? So you're this new soldier, this young 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid. What do? You just hit him. He's on the ground, sort of, but you don't know if you killed him, but you're sure you did. But then you know. Shoot him again. Make sure he's dead. Shoot him again. Make sure he's dead, because you've heard all the stories from all the veterans of combat that have told you, boy, when they're down, you shoot them again, because it's not the live ones you worry about. It's the dead ones that get back up and kill you. So you shoot and you fire. And ladies and gentlemen, that 18, 19, 20-year-old has become a soldier.
Wow, that's just amazing. That story is just incredible. Anytime I hear that, that just shocks me. I've never seen any military experience myself, but I know quite a few people who've seen action, and man, they all talk about the fear, but that was the most descriptive version I've ever heard. On to the first commercial. If you're out there, please help. We need $800 today for the treatment. The three ways that you can donate are through PayPal, sending it as family or friend, not purchase, to Nichols Live at AOL.com. The second way is if you look up Larry Nichols Conway, Arkansas on Facebook, there will be a yellow donate button. That yellow donate button will take you to a PayPal page where you can donate with a credit card or bank account. And then the final method is to send him either a money order, a check, or even just a few bucks in the mail. And his address is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas 72034. Again, it is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas 72034. Okay, now let's get back to the show.
Truth may be, he and other people may have shot the same guy, but you don't know. It seemed like it was yours. And all of a sudden now, you duck back down for just a second, just so that your mind can digest what just happened. And you've got to get back up there. You've got to select another target. You've got to find another target, because the fire's still coming from the enemy. And you notice something. You notice that fear still there, but it's in a different form somehow. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a different way. It's there, but it does not control you. And you know, in that second, you go back to that drill sergeant, to all the people you've talked to that have been blooded, that have been in combat. You go back to what they were saying. You go back. For some reason, you're thinking, you're thinking way too much. You're thinking way too much. Get that head up. Fire. Rely on the training. Fire. Don't think. Do. Don't think. Do. And then you hear, cover the right flank. You hear Nichols, cover the right flank. And you go, oh my God, I'm Nichols. Cover the right flank? And they said Nichols. They didn't say first squad, because you're a part of a squad. They didn't say first squad, cover right flank. They didn't say second squad, cover left flank. They said somebody hollered your name and said, cover the right flank. They're moving around to the right. And you realize that the safety of your entire squad is on you. It's all on you. And you just got through shooting your first shot in combat. You just got over being so scared you couldn't even move. Now the whole life of the squad is in your power to protect or get people killed. And you roll over, take a position behind as much cover as you can, and there you go. There you see 3 or 4 of the enemy moving, running, moving to your right, trying to get around behind you. Oh my God, there's nobody there but you. Nobody. You fire. You fire at the lead guy, and you don't compensate for him running. You don't compensate for him moving. Your rounds just go errant. They just go by. The guy just keeps moving. You don't even make the dust fly up around there. I mean, what kind of shot is that, right? I mean, you're trained. What kind of shot did you just fire that a guy's running, trying to get around behind you and kill off everybody in your squad, and you can't even see the dust fly up anywhere near him where your round just went? And then here comes that old fear again, you know? Because if they come around to the right flank where you're supposed to be defending it, you know who the first one's going to buy it is? You. You're the first one. You're the first one to take it. You're the first one to take it. But you know what? You don't think about that. You're thinking about, my God, I'm letting my guys down. Just got this from Greg. Numbers only off 20% versus 30%. That means 80% of the Nichols army is engaged today when most of the nation is grilling out. Thank you, Army. Thank you. Means a lot to me that you're here this day. It truly does. So here they come, 3 of them moving to get behind you and your men. And you've let your men down grievously. The guy's still moving. He hadn't taken cover. That's weird. You see the other 2, but that lead guy's one you just focus like a laser on. Well, you do it right this time. You take your time. You put a little bit of lead. He's not moving fast, but you still got to lead a little bit. Hold your distance. Hold your windage. Hold everything. Forget all of that stuff. Forget it all. Shoot the damn gun. And off goes the round. You did it right. You didn't even know exactly when the round was going off. It came off automatic because you had the right pressure on the trigger. And there it goes. That guy goes down. The 2 guys behind him, they stop. They kneel down, try to find cover. But where they're at, there's not particularly a lot of cover. So they start just sending rounds back your direction. Where that scared you only seconds, maybe a minute or 2 before, where the rounds just flying in your direction put you into just cripple. You were so scared. All of a sudden, these rounds are just coming in left and right. And you know what? You don't feel nothing. And there's that other guy. He's down. He's trying to find where you are. He's trying to control his fire, but he's still shooting just wildly. You take that time. He's not running now, so it's an easy shot. The only problem you got is he and that other guy just throwing rounds at you. But for some reason, they don't bother you. And you let go of the next round, and bam, down he goes. You saw that round hit. You hit him right square in the head. And there was this pink, reddish pink explosion. And down he went. The third guy. Oh boy, he's a brave one now. Look at him. Look at him. This brave guy. You know what? Now the guy's shooting at you that you were wondering where they got the courage to just keep firing at you. All of a sudden, that third guy, he's turning, going the other way. You got to get him. You need to get him. He was your responsibility, but he's running the other way. And he takes 2 steps, crouches, takes 2 steps, crouches. You know what he did? You know what mistake he just made? He's so scared. He's moving in a pattern. Now you got him. Now you got him. Because see, in your training, you're taught about patterns. Watch for the pattern. And just like taking that building and moving about a half an inch beyond the corner of the building so that when it came out, you pulled at that point. Because that was his patterns. Sneaking out around the building and firing a shot and then ducking back. Well, this guy's let you know his pattern: 2 steps down, 2 steps down. And you notice that when he tries to get up, he's always a little slow getting up. Well, folks, you got him. You got him. Just hold on. You got him. And sure as the world, that old enemy goes down. And you know it's your time. He goes down. He waits just a second or two, and here he goes. And he starts that clumsy getting up. And when he does, you nail him. You nail him right down. You got a body shot, but you still got him. And he's laying there on the ground. You see him move. He's rolling over. He's obviously in pain. You hit him somehow in the side. You hit him. He's in pain. And you burst off 3 rounds right into him. He ain't going to get nobody no more. And then all of a sudden, the firing subsides. You still hear your guys popping rounds, but there ain't nothing coming from the enemy. Nothing. And y'all, it's so quiet. So quiet. And what you don't realize until you get later in life, you don't realize you were so intense. You were so engulfed in what was happening with you that it was as though the rest of the world wasn't even going on. Wasn't even going on. And then you hear crying and moaning, and you hear, medic, medic, get over here, medic. And then you see movement, and your guys start kind of raising up, and you start looking, and you're praying. Hope nobody else got it. Hope nobody else got hit. Medic comes over. Says, "Are you okay? You okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. What about it?" "The guy next to me, what's the deal?" "He's okay. He's gonna be okay. He got hit in the chest, but he's okay." Then you ask the question that you don't really want to hear the answer to. You really don't want to hear the answer to, but you ask it. Did we lose anybody? And in 2 seconds, that medic's face tells you the answer. Yeah, we lost 2. And then you don't want to, but you're obligated to. You go over and you look and witness the carnage of your 2 teammates that were just with you. And you see the damage of an AK-47 round, what it does to a man, what it can do. And there, in just a moment, except for the grace of God, if that's what you want to call it, because you feel ashamed, you don't want to say, except for the grace of God, I'm still alive, that person's dead. You don't want to say that. That is the greatest guilt. Now, listen, folks, in a matter of 3 to 10 minutes, you've gone from the most fear any human being on earth can go through to becoming a killer, something you never really imagined you could be and what it would feel like. To the greatest sensation of all, which is what I feel today. The sensation I feel today is guilt. Because you really, 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 you really feel guilty that someone else died and you didn't. And what makes you feel the most guilt is that you're glad you're still alive. And if you're glad you're still alive, that means you're glad they're dead. And it can't be that. It can't be that. And folks, I have just described to you the guilt, the PTSD, or whatever you want to call it. That's the shame and the guilt that every soldier comes back from combat with that you cannot get over. You can't. I got this from Greg. Let me see what Greg. Please let everyone know. Stay tuned for a few minutes after today's program for a 7-minute tribute to our veterans. Thank you, Greg, for doing that. Thank you, Leading Edge. He also sends Russians threatening retaliation for Europe missile defense system. People need to be ready. Russia and the Chinese could move on U.S. unexpectedly. Prepare. The Cold War never really ended, and he's right. It never really ended. But today, keep your eyes on the future. Keep your heart on the past. And when you look at a soldier today, I want you to think about every one of them that was exposed to combat in any way. And I don't mean they had to be on the front line. I'm talking about in any way. Every soldier has to live with that feeling of shame. Feeling of shame. Oh, now after the battle I just described, after that battle, everybody gets back to the base. And everybody's patting each other on the back, and all these young men are trying to make out like they're tough. They're tough. They did it. They handled it. We tough. Then you look over and to the side, one guy's, you look over to the side, one guy's crying. You look over to the other side, someone's throwing their guts up. And you realize those are the honest ones. Those are the real people that are able to let their feelings go. But you don't want to show that.
That's an excellent spot to stop for our second commercial, everybody. So I just got word from Larry that he hasn't gotten 1 cent today. He needs $800 today, and we haven't been able to get any for him. Man. Come on, people. Please open up your hearts and help him. He really needs this bad today. The fact that he's not here today, and the Clinton email scandal is to the point it is, that's huge. And he's not here right now? If you're out there, please help. The 3 ways that you can donate are through PayPal, sending it as family or friend, not purchase, to Nichols Live at AOL.com. The second way is if you look up Larry Nichols Conway, Arkansas on Facebook, there will be a yellow donate button. That yellow donate button will take you to a PayPal page where you can donate with a credit card or bank account. And then the final method is to send him either a money order, a check, or even just a few bucks in the mail. And his address is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. Again, it is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. For this next program I'm going to play, when I first heard this story, it was amazing. It was a lot of new information and a lot of new story, but, doesn't change the impact that it had on me. And, it was July 27th on the preparation to leading up to Independence Day. And it was a special program that Larry did to explain the reason for fireworks and why we do those. So I'll let him explain it better. So here we go.
The 4th of July. Do you ever wonder why there's a fireworks display? Where did that come from? The fireworks. Let me tell you what I believe to be the reason for it. And I think I have a good perspective in that I've been in combat, as many of you have. The fireworks display is a way to remember. A way to remember. You see, back then they didn't have videotape. They didn't even have audio recordings. The only way they could pass on a story was either mouth to mouth, telling someone. But in the 4th of July, Francis Scott Key, and I'm telling you folks, a lot of people believe the Star Spangled Banner, Francis Scott Key, they think that was the Revolutionary War. It was not. It was the War of 1812. And that's when a contingent of American soldiers and citizens in Baltimore, at Fort McHenry, were set facing a massive flotilla from Great Britain. They had already invaded the country. They had already marched just almost unopposed. They had burned Washington, D.C. down. Now they were coming to Baltimore. There was a lawyer who had gone out to one of the British vessels to get a friend of his released that was being held prisoner when the battle started. So he was literally, and it depends on the story you hear about him. Some say he was sitting on top of the hill watching it. Some say he was on this British ship watching it. But let's go with the ship. And you figure out where he was. That's your business. But he tells what he saw. Now, first words, oh, say, can you see at the dawn's early light? Now, you understand it started at dawn. What so proudly we hailed was so gallantly streaming. Now, what was that about? He was talking about the huge flag that was put up at Fort McHenry. The person in charge, I think he was a colonel of the fort, wanted to make sure that they had a large enough flag. He wanted the biggest flag in the country, and he got one, put it up. What y'all may not know, the reason for all the flag stuff. In early wars, going all the way back to medieval times, whatever, flags were very important because flags told the leader, the generals, the positions of the troops. And so let's take the Civil War. Typically in the Civil War, the generals would ride, get on as high a place as they could. Now, when they would start shooting black powder weapons off, thousands of them, tens of thousands, the battlefield would just turn into a haze, a bluish gray haze, and that's the smoke from the black powder weapons. And it just hovers 8 to 10 foot high, it just hovered. So can you see that in your mind? Here's this battleground between two sides, but what you actually see is nothing but this haze. It looks like a fog just laid in on the battlefield, and you can't tell where anybody is. So all of the troops had flags, and it was a very important job. It was an honored job for a unit to carry the unit's flag. And so they would hold the flag up, and then the general up on the mountain would see, he would see the flags, and he would know then where the troops were. And then he would also know if there was no flag, that unit was destroyed. Now you can imagine, folks, carrying the unit's flag was a prestigious job, but also remember, the enemy knew that. And so when you're carrying that flag into battle, you wanted the primary targets, but they carried it boldly. And so the flag is significant. It is a way to know where your troops are at any time. And when there is no flag, that means your unit, your soldiers are gone. So you understand the flag. That's why it's important to us to this day. If you've ever been out of the country, and you've been me, And I've been places where running from the government and to get near your embassy and see that American flag, you knew when you saw that American flag, wherever you were, if you could see it, that's all you had to do was get there and you'd be safe. The American flag. We truly cannot allow this country to fail. We can't. Because us letting Hillary win is like spitting and trampling on that flag. That so many Americans, men and women, have died given the ultimate to protect and defend.
Well, that's a great place to stop for our third and final commercial. So, here we go. You know, we still haven't been able to get anything for Larry. Come on, people. We have 7,300 people here with us. To be exact, 7,344 people listening. And yet, not one has been able to donate? Man, I don't know. The whole reason we're in this mess in the first place is because of our participation and our lack of it. Since we don't participate in our republic, we have lost a lot of our republic, and we may lose all of it. But if we don't start participating soon, we will lose all of it. You know, if you want to be a part of this army, come on, we're open to you participating. Call in, add your opinion to something. Text Larry, ask him questions, call him. Tell other people to get Larry Nichols on their show. Get the word out. Get our broadcast out. Get the information out. There's lots of things you can do besides donating money. I know a lot of you are hurting out there. You know, this economy has affected everybody. So if that's not something you can do, okay. But at least be getting the word out, getting the message out, help in other ways. But if you are able to help, the three ways that you can donate are through PayPal, sending it as family or friend, not purchase, to Nichols Live at AOL.com. The second way is if you look up Larry Nichols Conway, Arkansas on Facebook, there will be a yellow donate button. That yellow donate button will take you to a PayPal page where you can donate with a credit card or bank account. And then the final method is to send him either a money order, a check, or even just a few bucks in the mail. And his address is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. Again, it is 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. We're going back to the program now.
You all heard the firecrackers where they let them off and they light just a whole package of them. Pop, pop, pop. Do you know what that is? That is to remind us of the sound that they heard that day and that night. That sound is the sound of the muskets firing. Thousands of soldiers firing their muskets. And at a distance, they sound very similar to that of the firecrackers going off. The bombs bursting in air, the rockets' red glare. Bottle rockets. When you see bottle rockets, remember, make them bigger. Make those bottle rockets bigger. And that's what the British launched in Fort McHenry. They sent them in by the hundreds. They glowed, they lit up the sky. They acted in some ways like flares, modern day flares that light up a battlefield today. So when you see a bottle rocket, I want you to remember that, my friends, is representing someone's trying to get you to see what Francis Scott Key saw and the citizens of Baltimore saw that day, that night. the bombs bursting in air. Many of the cannon of that day, they had really two basic rounds, well, three. They had the old cannonball. When it fired, it rolled people over like a bowling pin. It would hit a wall, knock down a wall. It was just a solid chunk of metal, lead. Then they had, for close combat, they had a canister shot. The canister shot, when it fired, was like a shotgun with pellets in it. It just shot hundreds of pellets out, which would mow people down up close. It would just mow them down. Then they had a third one. And this was a round that would go up and would explode in the air. And those are the ones that, even to this day, soldiers fear the most. And that's when in World War One, they even called them, anyway, something about the face changer. Because, see, in the early days of World War One, they didn't have helmets. So they'd go out with their little caps or whatever, and these rounds would go off up in the air, sending burning shrapnel down on the troops. And it literally disfigured faces. And it killed a bunch, but it also disfigured. They learned they better get metal headgear to try to stop some of that. And in the Revolutionary War, in the War of 1812, they didn't have that. So when you see the big mortar rounds going off, and they burst up in the sky, and you see all of these thousands of things going off, imagine if that was shrapnel and you were under it. Think about that. Francis Scott Key saw the shrapnel, because the reason it lit up the sky like you see is because when that bomb goes off, that shrapnel is red hot, sometimes white hot. And so if you're setting off at a distance on a British ship, or you're up on a hill in the nighttime, what do you see? You see those going off. Oh, they're quite beautiful, unless you're under them. And if you're under them, I hope you can understand the gravity. There's no place to hide. No place. Now, there's one problem with cannon shooting the rounds that go off in the air. They were known in that day all the way up until the Revolutionary War. The Civil War. Cannon firing that kind of round was dangerous. Because you see, when you pull the lanyard to light the fire of the black powder that sets off the charge, you also light a fuse that is attached to the bomb, the cannonball. Now, sometimes, as any of you that have ever tried to throw firecrackers know, sometimes that fuse burns just like it's supposed to. But far too often, that fuse goes off prematurely. And so it was not uncommon for the cannon crews to be killed by their own weapons. Not to mention your soldiers that are on the battlefield that you've got to shoot your round over. Because even more than it blew up the cannon crew, they were known to go off prematurely and rain shrapnel down on their own men. So when you see the bombs bursting in air that Francis Scott Key is telling you about, that's what he saw. Everything, if you don't feel it, you should. Everything's getting ready to burst. It's getting ready. This thing's fixing to pop. Now, the problem is, I'm getting away from the subject matter for today, but I do want to say this. The problem is we're facing an impending crisis. Because if the banks and everything and the stock market and everything blows up, that's a crisis. And you would think, well, Obama and boys and Hillary, they would be working feverishly to protect us from that occurring. That's not the case. See, that's what's so bad. We've got leaders that are diametrically opposed to those things that would be good for us and support those things that are bad for us. If everything blows up here, he gets to stay president. But I'm sure the title would change to king or dictator. This is our time. We are the vanguard. 7,400, 10,000, how many there are of us. We are the vanguard. You are part of the vanguard of our line of defense to save our nation. You are. We are. And it's really great to celebrate the 4th of July. It truly is. But it's not so great if you realize this may be the last one. So that's why I want you, this time when you see the 4th of July fireworks display, I want you to know what it's about. I want it to remind you of the things that we've talked about. It's a visual reproduction of the battle in the War of 1812, when we drove the British away. Now, there's one other part of a fireworks display. This one isn't about Francis Scott Key. It's not. It's a tale I heard in Special Forces. I don't even remember who told me, and it's just some little tale that somebody spread. But I value it, and I hope you do. At the end of every fireworks display, there's the big crescendo. When that crescendo starts, do you know what I'm talking about? All of these mortar rounds go off, and the sky just bursts with white and green and red and blue. I mean, it just one boom, 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 boom. They're all going up, and the sky's filled. I want you to think about that this way. Once a year, God lets all of the soldiers that have died, he lets them all dress up in their dress uniforms. Their dress blues, their dress whites, their dress greens. He lets them all dress in those uniforms. And I'm telling you, I bet they spit shined their shoes. Oh, Lordy. I bet they polished the brass until it'd glow all the way to Mars. Hurts to tell this. And I can see all of those proud soldiers getting all dressed up. And when that crescendo starts, God lets them come out in their dress uniforms for us all to see. And remind us of everything they went through. To remind us of what they have done for us. You see, this day, this 4th of July, when it comes, it's owed to all the soldiers, not just the Revolutionary War, not just the 1812, not Vietnam, not World War II, not Korea, not the Civil War, Afghanistan, Iraq, not just those, but all the soldiers that have died in places we don't even know where they were, couldn't even pronounce where they are.
Wow. Wow. In the last minute and a half to 2 minutes, I'm going to say this. You know, Larry still hasn't received anything. The only donation he's received is actually mine, and that was $50. He needs $800 today. He needs $750 more dollars. Tomorrow's a huge show. He's going to be sharing his opinions on why Hillary's not being indicted. His opinion on what is going on in Washington right now with Emogate and the Clinton scandal. And we're breaking that tomorrow here. So, you know, get the word out. But even more, if you're able to help, please do so. But with that, I leave you with this. You know, if God willing, Larry and I will be back here tomorrow.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby.